Hey guys, we're back with the second video for 11.2. These are going to be bonus notes. The longest part of this is just going to be me asking you to write down these three questions. So if you'll go all the way to the back of your book in page 186, 187, or even on the very last page 188, if all of those have doodles or something else already on them, just grab a sheet of loose leaf paper and write this down because I will want you to turn it in for the notes. Okay? Pause the screen if you need to, copy all of the words, and then we'll start solving, okay? All right, cool. First question says, the exponential function below shows the rate of infection with COVID-19 virus, where the x is the number of days since the outbreak, and the y is the total people infected. Obviously, I estimated these numbers a little bit, but they're from early on when the data basically was exponential. The goal is to try and figure out what your prediction is for 28 days, okay? Well, if you notice, what's my table counting by? It's counting by fours, right? So my next one would be 24, and the one after that would be 28. So I need to find two new table values in order to answer this question, okay? Second thing I need to figure out is what my rate is. Now, because it's exponential, that means you are multiplying by the same number every time. Well, how do you figure out what you're multiplying by? You take the first two numbers and you divide them. So we will divide, you make that note, we're going to divide 78 over 30. So you would type that in your calculator as 78 divided by 30. You can do this in Desmos, you can do it on your phone, but when you do that, it's going to give you 2.6. So what that means is over and over, every single time we change levels, we're multiplying by 2.6. So if I go in my calculator, let's see if I can do that on an internet screen, sorry. If I do 1373 times 2.6, that gives me 3570. So I'm going to go back to my screen and I'm going to write that down. 3570. Now that is one of the answer choices, right? But that's not going to be my answer to this question because that's for 24 years. Okay, so if I go back to my internet one more time, 3570, so clear, 3570 times 2.6, one more time. I'm going to get 9282. So 9,282 is going to be my number. Okay, so my answer in this case is going to be B. Okay, if you need to pause it for a second and write that down, here are your steps again. We're going to divide, and we're going to repeat at the bottom till you get to the number. Okay, so we divided 78 divided by 30, got 2.6, and then we multiply and repeat that all the way down until I get to my goal number, which was 28 days. Okay? All right, let's go to the next one. All right, so for the next two, it says Chick-fil-A is one of the beloved fast food restaurants of the South and currently has 2,497 locations. They're aiming to grow their store at a rate of 2% per year. Okay, what is the range of the function that models the situation? That's going to be my question on number 2. And then what is the domain of the function that models this situation? Okay, first thing I want to remind you is the letter range is Y and domain is X. So if you're missing these questions at all on the quiz and you're picking a X answer for a range or a Y answer for a domain, that's a huge problem. That means you're not using your notes and you're not paying very close attention. Okay, because the first thing I would do on number 2 is eliminate the only X answers. Okay, first thing I would do on number 3 is eliminate both of the Y answers. Because now I know that I have the right letter, I just have to decide which number it is. Here's how you're going to decide that. Whatever the situation is, set up kind of like a graph and label your axes. So here's my x-axis, here's my y-axis. We learned in Unit 10 that x is always time. So if I look back in my question, they're aiming to grow the number at a rate of 2% per year. So my time is measuring in years. Okay. Well, if I'm growing over time, my Y is whatever's growing. What am I trying to grow? You could say I'm growing my stores. I could say I'm growing my location, my number of locations. You could say I'm growing my Chick-fil-A's. Like how many I have. Okay, so your Y is whatever is growing. Then you get to decide. My graph started somewhere up here, and it's increasing, right? It's growing. So for the range, if I started at 2,497 in this situation, I never started at 0. I did, I guess, in real life, but I didn't start at 0 in this situation. It says it currently has that value. So if this is my starting number, then this is my answer. My Y's are going to start at 2,497 and they're going to grow. That's my Y value. But for my X's, when did we start talking about graphing in Unit 10? Where did we always start with our time? We never had negative time. We never went backwards, but we started at 0. Time always starts at 0. So I would maybe make that in like a little cloud. So if you're talking about X and you're talking about domain and you're using a real life situation, time is going to start at 0. If it's a general graph and it has arrows on both sides, that's when we use all real numbers. I need you guys to know the difference. But in a word problem, in a real world situation, that's when time is going to start at 0. Okay? If you need to pause it for a second, go ahead and copy it down. Otherwise, that's the end of our video. Remember, right now, you are going to go do 11.2 practice. But you are only going to do numbers 3, 6, 7, and 8. So just the 4 questions that go with that. Okay? All right.